Hello everyone and welcome to our last part of the Tic-Tac-Toe tutorial series. In this tutorial, we will be creating a system where the player can switch between difficulties and can restart the game. So without further ado, let's get started. First, we need to create a new widget. Okay, user widget. This widget uh, will be a button for the difficulty. Okay, so let's call it difficulty button widget. Okay, so our widget is created. Now we need to create some game widget variables and methods. So let's go public, protected, and private. And in our private, we want to create a button and a text. So u class u button and class u text block. So u property meta equal bind widget u button, let's call it difficulty button. And let's create one for the text block that will represent the difficulty text. Okay, so let's go ahead and compile this. Let's create a blueprint based on this widget. And let's add a size box, a button, and text. Let's set the size box to be equal to like maybe 300 by 200. Let's set, no, let's make it smaller, 250. No, 250 actually. 150. Yeah, that's good. And the text block, let's wrap it with a scale box. Okay, fill. Let's set this to middle. Let's give it 3 outline. And yeah, that's it. Let's change the button color. Maybe this. Copy, paste, paste. Let's on press change the color a little bit so it gives it a nice feeling. Okay, let's change the button name to difficulty button and the text to difficulty text. Cool. Okay, now let's go back to our Visual Studio and let's create a function here. And here u function void on button clicked, and we need to override the virtual void native construct override. Okay, here super native construct and if difficulty button dot on clicked. Let's add the components button.h include components text block.h. Okay, so difficulty button on clicked dot dynamic add dynamic this view difficulty button widget on button clicked. Great. So what will happen when you click the button? So we need to change difficulty and we need to start the game. So to change difficulty, we need to create a function in here to change difficulty. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's call it, let's do it in private. Void set difficulty. Okay. And to set the difficulty, we actually need to change this variable in our game mode. Okay. So how do you access this? We can simply access it using the game mode interface. So let's go to the game mode interface. Let's create a function, virtual void, let's call it set AI difficulty, okay, equal 0. Okay, let's override it here. Virtual void set AI difficulty override. So uh, actually we need a parameter for this. So let's go back to our interface and add a parameter of type integer and difficulty level. So the reason we create an integer as a parameter and not the actual enum is because in the first tutorial we declared this enum as a local enum in the game mode, so we cannot use it outside of this enum. Okay, so it doesn't have a separate file to include in other classes. So the integer will work as a workaround, it's no problem. So let's add this integer here, difficulty level. Okay, we also need to change this void to a boolean. Okay, let's change it to a boolean. Because we want to check if the AI difficulty was set successfully before we start the game. Okay, so in our game mode.cpp we need to check if the difficulty level is smaller than 1 or if it's bigger than 2, we need to return false. And that's because it's either 0, 1, 2. Okay, it's 0 for easy, 1 for medium, and 2 for hard. Other than that, it's not valid. It's not a valid level. So switch difficulty level if case 0 AI difficulty is equal to AI easy. Okay, and break. Case 1, let's just copy all of this. Medium and case 2 hard, and default is default return false. Okay, so by default it will return false, then after return true. So if it returns true, it means it was successfully set and we can start the game. So now we go back to our difficulty button widget, and we need to get our game mode. We need to get this function we just created. Where is it? The set difficulty. Where is it? Oh my god. We need to call our set AI difficulty inside our difficulty button widget. So in order to do that, we need to get a reference to the game mode interface. So class I game mode interface. Let's create a variable I game mode interface game mode interface reference, and in our native construct we need to give it a value. So we need to cast to the game mode interface if get word a game mode base game mode is equal to get word get auth game mode. It gets the current game mode. So if game mode is successful and it implements the interface u game mode interface static class. So the error here because we need to include game framework game mode base and include Tic-Tac-Toe game mode H and include game mode interface. Oh, get class. Okay. If it implements, so game mode interface reference is equal to cast I game mode interface, and the object is this. Sorry, the object is game mode. Okay, great. So now set difficulty button if game mode interface reference game mode interface reference set AI difficulty, and the difficulty level will be equal to difficulty level, and we need to create it in here, and difficulty level. Great. Okay, now on button click set difficulty. Okay, and start the game. We don't have a function for it now, we will create it in a bit, but first we want to create a function to set difficulty level. So let's go to public void set difficulty level. Okay, and its difficulty level is equal to level, and this will be called in our tic-tac-toe widget when we create the buttons. Okay, and we also need to set the text block difficulty text to the proper text. So another function, void set difficulty text, and parameter is an f string. Let's call it level difficulty text, new difficulty text, so we don't have a conflict with this one. If difficulty text is equal to new set text f text from string new difficulty text. Okay, so now in our tic-tac-toe widget we need a view property meta equal bind widget. We need a uniform grid panel to store the buttons. So class uniform grid panel difficulty buttons panel grid uniform grid panel. Okay, let's go ahead and compile. Okay, great. So let's go to our widget blueprint. Let's create a uniform grid panel. Let's add it to the vertical box, fill, and let's, for now, we don't, at the start of the game, we don't need these to be visible. So let's go ahead and change that visibility to collapsed. Collapsed means it's not visible and takes up no space in the layout. Okay, so let's hide this here, and this uniform grid panel is now in the center. Okay, let's call it difficulty buttons grid. Great. Okay, cool. Now we need to go back to our tic-tac-toe widget, and we need, in the native construct, we need to create our buttons. Okay, so to do that we need to delete generate grid because we don't need it anymore in the start, and for int I equals 0, I smaller than 3 because it's 3 levels, I plus plus, u difficulty button widget, new diff button is equal to create widget u difficulty button widget get world and difficulty button widget class. Okay, So let's include the headers, difficulty button hide, and include components uniform grid panel because we will need it later. So we still need to define this class in our header. So let's go to our header, and in the public, let's forward declare this first. U difficulty button widget. Now let's declare it here. U property edit defaults only, category equal UI. Okay, T subclass of U difficulty button widget. Let's call it this difficulty button widget class. Okay, great. Now we go back here, new diff if new diff button, new diff button, set the text difficulty text to no set difficulty level to I. So if it's 0, it will be set to 0. If it's 1, 1, 2, 2. Okay, and the new diff button set text to me to create an array. The array of type string. Okay, and the reason we're creating this is because you want to store in this array the easy, medium, and hard strings. Okay, so f string, let's call it difficulty text array, and let's populate it text easy, text medium, and text hard. Okay, and now in here we get difficulty text array at this index. Okay, great. Now after we do this, we need to store it in the uniform grid panel. So if difficulty buttons grid, difficulty buttons grid, add child to uniform grid panel, new diff button, and the row is we need it on the same row, so row 0 and column I. Let's go ahead, compile. And if we okay, I'm not sure why we have a blank here, blank widget. Maybe because we haven't. Nope, that's not the reason why. Okay, so the reason wasn't the obvious why. I just restarted the editor and it worked fine. So I think it was just a small bug. but also don't forget in the class defaults to set this difficulty button widget to the blueprint one. Okay, so now it's available, but it doesn't look very nice. I mean, we have to give it a little padding. Okay, so let's go to our difficulty button widget, actually to our grid panel here, and give it a little padding. On the left 20 maybe, on the right 20. Let's see. Yeah, it's better. Maybe a little more. It's too close to each other. And maybe in here we remove the border. So the outline here, maybe just set it as 0 or 1 and give it a black color. Okay. And maybe just remove the scale box because we don't really need it. Hold up. 50. Yep, that's actually pretty decent. I'm happy with it. Okay, so one more thing I want to do on hovered, I want to change its color a little bit darker when you hover over it. Okay, nice. So now we have to actually start the game when you click on one of them. So to do that, we need to get the game mode interface and call the start game function. So virtual void start game equals 0. Virtual void start game override nice. Okay, so to start the game we first need to make sure that, okay, so one thing to know is that the start game will also be called whenever we click on restart. Okay, so we have to inside this function to set everything back to its default value. So let's start by clearing this array. Okay, let's also go ahead and reset our grid. So to do that, we type f memory, okay, memory set grid 0 and size of grid, right? So what this does, it's this function, the memory set function, will set all bytes in the grid array to 0. So it is used to fill a block of memory with a specified value. And the argument here, the grid, is the array that represents the memory to be set. The value to be set to is 0. Okay, this will set each byte to 0. And the size of the grid is the number of bytes to set. Okay, I hope this makes sense. It's actually a C function. Okay, so next we need to change back the player turn to true. equal true. What else? What else do we need to do? We need to change the Tic-Tac-Toe widget instance, update turn text to your turn. Yeah, we can also add, we will also add a difficulty text that will display what difficulty we're playing against. And let's do it now real quick. So in our Tic-Tac-Toe widget, copy this, difficulty text, okay, compile, okay, let's close this one, text, add it to the canvas, let's set size to content true, let's give it alignment of -1 and 1, -1 or -5, whatever, -3, yeah, -0.75, yeah, that's good. Size of 50 or 40, and let's give it outline of 3. Okay, let's call it difficulty text. Now let's create a function over here. Void update difficulty text f string new difficulty text. So if difficulty text set text f text from string new difficulty text, and here now we can set difficulty update difficulty text, and the difficulty text will be our enum converted to a string. So to do that, we need to get our AI difficulty enum. You enum get display text, get display value as text. The enum is AI difficulty, okay, dot to string. So this is getting the enum as a text, and then we are converting it to a string. Okay, what else? We need, remember how we set these two to hidden, collapsed. Now we need to actually show them and hide the uniform panel here. So to do that, we go to our Tic-Tac-Toe widget, create a function called void start game. In this, we will generate the grid first of all, okay, then turn text, yeah, turn text, okay, set visibility is slate visibility to self hit invisible. So that means It's visible, but it cannot be interacted with the cursor. Okay. Difficulty text, set visibility is slate visibility self hit invisible. Let's go here and actually set it to collapsed by default. Okay, grid, tic-tac-toe grid, set visibility. Let's just copy this, paste it here. What else? Difficulty, buttons grid, set visibility to collapsed. And we need to create a restart button too. So u button restart button, and you need a u function void on restart button clicked, and we need to bind it if no, not inside the loop, if restart button on clicked, components button .h on clicked, add dynamic, this u tic-tac-toe widget on restart button clicked. Okay, now on restart button clicked, we need to get the first, let's set its visibility here, restart button. Oops, we don't have it anymore. Set visibility to visible actually, so we are able to interact with it. Okay, visible. And on the restart button, we need to set it back to hidden, collapsed, the difficulty text also to collapsed, grid to collapsed, the turn text collapsed, and difficulty buttons grid, we need to set it to self hit invisible, and we need to reset the board. We do this by creating a function called reset board, void reset board. So in reset board, we wanna reset all the cells inside the board. We wanna change their color, and we wanna change the symbol for it, right? So for view tic-tac-toe cell widget, cell inside the cells array, if cell set symbol to empty, and cell update color cell color to f linear color white. Okay, great. what else do we need to do? Start game and restart. Okay, so this should be it. So here we need to call Tic-Tac-Toe widget instance start the game. Let's compile. Restart button on declared identifier. We are getting an error at line 60. I'm not sure why. Oh, because we haven't button. We haven't actually declared it. Declared the button class. Okay, so let's go here and create our button for restart. Let's set it into the canvas. Let's anchor it to the right. Size to content. And let's give it a text. Restart. Okay. 1 minus 2 or minus 1. 1.5. I think I like it here. Okay, let's give it like 650. Outline of 3 and change the button color. Change the outline to black. Let's copy this, set it here, here. Let's change a little bit whenever we hover and press. Okay, so let's call it restart button. Restart button. And let's check it out. So let's let's try and launch the project again using Ctrl F5. Okay, so the restart button, we forgot to actually set its default value visibility to collapsed. Okay, so let's go. Let's choose hard. Nothing's happening. And that's because we haven't actually started the game. So game mode, interface, reference, start game. So right now we are calling this function. Okay, and this function will call the Tic-Tac-Toe widget start game function, which is this one, which is basically generating the grid and setting the proper visibility. Okay, so hard, as you can see, it says hard, restart, easy. If you want to restart now, medium. So the medium will try to block every. Oh, what? So I just found a bug. Inside our medium difficulty. Okay, this is weird. Let me just check it up real quick and see what's happening, and I will be back. Okay, so the problem is uh, in our AI move function, in the case of medium difficulty, we forgot to actually add a break over here. So Let's just add it real quick, and this should be it. Now the medium AI will work as intended without any weird anything. And if we set one here, we win the game. You won. So if you restart, medium again. So here, we won. Great. Let's try the hard one. And it's a draw. Let's go with the easy one. Yep. So that's it. That's the tutorial. Thanks for congratulations for everyone that made it so far, and I hope you have learned something from my teachings. Make sure to subscribe and turn on your notification so you get the latest videos from me, because I will be uploading weekly with new tutorials for different games, different game principles. And if you have anything in mind you want to learn, just let me know in the comments and I'll be happy to make it for you. So take care, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you have any question for me. And see you later.